Now, it's your forecast first from Storm Team 9.
Well, some thunder boomers moving through eastern North Carolina at this late hour. We have current temperature readings, muggy, it's steamy, sticky outside, so a good environment for showers and thunderstorms to blossom. The current heat index is 83 degrees in Greenville, so even though our air temperature is tolerable, it doesn't exactly feel comfortable. And we have a big plume of moisture that's being tapped in the Atlantic Ocean. All of this is lifting to the north and west with time and will continue to move onshore tonight into the day tomorrow. The rain could be occasionally heavy at times as a low pressure system develops and moves in on top of that boundary. Could even see a few severe thunderstorms on Friday, and that's why we have a weather alert day in effect. We'll talk about the details coming up. The longest running newscast in the East starts now.
This is breaking news from WNCT 9 on your side.
Breaking at this hour, one man is dead after a standoff in Carteret County. Sheriff Asa Buck tells us a man wanted in Greensboro for statutory rape charges was tracked to Carteret County. They say they found out he was at a home on Croton Drive in Newport. The sheriff says when they got there, they found that man barricaded inside a home. He says they went into that home around 7 o'clock tonight and found the suspect shot himself. We are working to learn more about that suspect, and of course, we will update you once we do learn more. Also breaking tonight, a plane had to make an emergency landing at the Global Trans Park in Kinston this afternoon. Lenore County Emergency Services says it happened around 4:15 this afternoon when they say the pilot declared an in-flight emergency because of a possible mechanical failure. No one was hurt during the landing.
I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started.
President Joe Biden says again tonight he is staying in the race for the White House in a high-stakes news conference, the first for the president since last November. WNCT is your local election headquarters, and we are covering this press conference from all angles tonight. The president spent nearly an hour speaking to reporters. This as a growing number of Democrats urge him to step aside. On your side, Washington correspondent Raquel Martin has more on this pivotal moment for his presidency.
Is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president.
In his first solo press conference since November, and with the world watching, President Joe Biden pushed back on growing calls for him to drop out of the 2024 election.
I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started.
The president was forced to confront questions about his ability to serve a second term. He admitted he may need to pace himself.
I'm just going to keep moving.
He used the majority of the press conference, which came on the heels of a NATO summit in Washington, to highlight his accomplishments.
We had a great economic report showing inflation is down.
Along the way, President Biden did make a few gaffes. At one point, he mistakenly called his vice president Trump.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified.
Earlier, he mixed up the names of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
Some Democrats are standing by the president.
President Biden came out strong.
Even as a growing number of Democratic lawmakers call on President Biden to step aside. After attending a meeting with President Biden's campaign staff, Senator Richard Blumenthal said looking at the polling, he's concerned.
It has to be more than just one press conference.
In Washington, Raquel Martin.
And back here in North Carolina, local experts are reacting to this press conference. Experts called it a high risk, but a high reward opportunity if it went well. Now, on your side, Davis Supis spoke with those experts tonight. He's joining us now live in the studio. So, Davis, what else did they tell you?
That's right, Courtney. Tonight, the experts are saying that not only is the performance of Biden important, but also what he is talking about. With a lot to analyze about the physical appearance and the direct quotes from Biden, we wanted to dig a little deeper and find out what is the focus of tonight's press conference. Experts say it was going to be very important for Biden to emphasize his foreign policy and focus on what he was talking about. Dr. David McLennan, a political science professor at Meredith College, talked to me about how the country is focusing in on events like these since the debate last month.
I think people are going to be watching not just for how he says things, but also the content of what he says, because, everything is on the line for President Biden as it is for former President Trump. I think the debate just sharpened people's focus in on listening carefully to what Joe Biden says, as well as watching how he says it.
McClellan also says if tonight's performance was not overwhelmingly positive, that it would be rare if we saw another opportunity for live questioning like this again before November. Experts also question if after tonight's performance we will see more members close to Biden's administration begin to join the call for President Biden to get out of the race. We will monitor the response closely in the coming weeks. In the studio, Davis Supis, 9 on your side.
Lots of eyes on this story. Thanks, Davis. For the 6th time this year, Vice President Kamala Harris made a stop in North Carolina. During her campaign stop at Dudley High School in Greensboro today, pro-Palestinian demonstrators interrupted her. They were taken out by security. The reason for today's visit was to emphasize the stakes of the election for North Carolina.
What kind of country do we want to live in? That's the question being posed to each one of us. Do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? We each, and here's the beauty in this, we each have the power to answer that question.
Governor Roy Cooper greeted the vice president at the airport along with State Senator Gladys Robinson and civil rights activist Shirley Fry. The head of the North Carolina Democratic Party says she's telling people not to, quote, freak out when it comes to whether President Joe Biden should stay in the race. Anderson Clayton said the state party is fully behind President Joe Biden and Harris continuing to lead the ticket. She pointed to Biden's rally in Raleigh the day after this debate, saying she thinks he bounced back from his performance the night before. The Biden campaign has made North Carolina a top target this year after former President Donald Trump narrowly won here in 2020.
And we are excited this year to be mobilizing every person possible to flip North Carolina blue at the presidential level, to hold North Carolina blue at the governor's level.
The state Republican Party released a statement today saying in part, quote, Joe Biden is weak, failed, and dishonest, and the American people are now running to President Trump and Republicans because he will make America great again, end quote. And to stay up to date on the race for president and other races in our state, go to WNCT.com. There we have this Your Local Election Headquarters page. It is full of everything you need to know before the November election. You can find it now by hovering your mouse over the News tab and just click Your Local Election Headquarters. Let's turn now to the weather. Lots of rain today caused flooding in several areas across eastern North Carolina. Let's give you a closer look now at this video. This is from earlier today on Highway 125 between Beargrass and Williamston. You can see water on the road. You can even see some on the side of the road in some parts of there. We'll be watching this area tomorrow as we could get some more rain on a weather alert day. And another area we will also be watching tomorrow is Lenoir County. Emergency services there tell us 2 cars were stranded on Highway 11 this morning near the Covation Bio Plant. They say parts of Highway 11 also had some water on the road. And in Kinston, officials say cars couldn't get through several streets in downtown this morning because of the weather. Take a look at this photo on your screen. This is West Road in Kinston. You can see lots of water pooling on that road over there. And the weather today caused a scary scene in Duplin County. A driver is in the hospital after a crash and a firefighter is recovering after lightning hit near the scene. The State Highway Patrol says it happened on Interstate 40 earlier today. Troopers say a car ran off the road and hit a tree. The NC State Highway Patrol says the driver was taken to a hospital. The fire chief of Rose Hill says a firefighter was working near a fence when lightning hit nearby. The firefighter was taken to a hospital, released, and we're told is doing well tonight. We are working to learn more about this story, and of course, we will update you on air and online on WNCT.com when we have more information. And if you have pictures or videos of weather or breaking news in your area, share it with 9. Just go to WNCT.com and find Share It with 9. That is going to be at the top banner. There you can upload your photos or videos and fill out the information. You can also select to remain anonymous. Once you send it there, it might show up here on WNCT. You can also share it with 9 on the free 9 on Your Side mobile app. New tonight, Pitt County Schools partnered with a MexCam to talk about a response to bullying in schools. It comes after the suicide of Hasan Navarrete earlier this year. He was a student at D.H. Conley High School. His mother was there tonight expressing her pain to Pitt County Interim Superintendent Dr. Steve Lassiter. She says her son took his life so he would not be bullied on the bus the next day. A MexCam says tonight just starts to open the door for more of these conversations.
One is to have a meeting with D.H. Conley High School to talk about what happened in D.H. Conley with the bullet and suicide situation. Second is to set up a calendar of meetings with the Pitt County school systems. Third is to kind of create a space where we can meet on a regular basis.
Superintendent Lassiter says he is committed to more joint meetings like this in the future. Still ahead here on WNCT 9 News at 11, there's a new lawsuit filed against the local doctor and his former practice. We'll tell you what we know so far. Plus, one local healthcare group is bringing care to a town without it. More on their services and who it benefits.
And you may be hearing some thunder outside at this late hour tonight. We have some thunderstorms moving through, and we could see much heavier activity tomorrow. We're heading into a Storm Team 9 weather alert day, and we'll have the latest next.